We received news of the attack in Tseikuru when we were on the coastal tour. And the attack was dastardly, cowardly. 8 people, innocent ones, were killed. One of them is actually daughter to my immediate neighbor at Muna in Tseikuru. And some of them are even my distant relatives. We gather that that was a retaliatory attack because some other 4 young Somali people had been killed several days before that. And before that, a young man had been killed. And that's why the Somalis were also killed. So you can see that cycle. This matter is heavy because those of you who may have read my book will know that I lived under those circumstances. And after 28 years of being Member of Parliament in that area, we had actually brought this kind of thing to an end. So that every Thursday, Somali herders were easily bringing lots of goats to the market in Tseikuru, and it became a wonderful interaction of communities fighting poverty together. But now criminals have come in between them, between the 2 communities. In fact, one of the things I remember with the late Mzee Moi, we took those army helicopters, went all the way to Tseikuru, to Ngomeni, and we brought that nonsense to an end. And I remember Mzee Moi asking, mahali hawa maharamia wanatoka, kuna machief ama hakuna? Na nikisikia tena, hawa machief watapoteza kazi. He went on to establish GSU camp in Usweni. And then recently there was an attempt, I think, in Mandungoi, in Ngomeni area, to do something. I think when Ambassador, the security advisor, when Monica Juma was in charge of that docket, she tried to do something, establish some guideline of security arrangement. And I know that Governor Malombe has put in place some 6 police stations. All that needs to happen is to populate those police stations because Governor Malombe does not control the police force. So Inspector Kanja the Inspector General should help Governor Malombe populate immediately those 6 police stations put up by the county government of Kitui. But the killing of the young man in Ukasi is what seems to have brought a lot of fury because a young man, 14-year-old, was that slashed to death. And this then raised the level of anger in Guni and Ukasi, in Mwingi. For as long as I can remember, Mwingi town has never witnessed the kind of anger and fury that was evident yesterday. And we can understand all of this. But against all that background was, and I want somebody to give me that phone again, my phone, because CS Duale, in the presence of his boss in Mandera, issued a clear fiat. He said, us in opposition should never be allowed to cross the River Tana into Garissa. And if that happens, we should be assaulted. He says this in Kisomali, we got all the interpretation. We should be assaulted. We should never be allowed to go into northern Kenya, as if that territory belongs to Duale. We must remind him that Wajir, Garissa, Mandera are part and parcel of the Kenyan territory. Mwingi is part of the Kenyan territory. And no amount of tribal talk will now divide these two communities. What you're dealing with is an issue of criminals, and by now the police should have apprehended them. The ones who killed the 8 in Kwakamari, and the ones who slashed to death this young man. They should have quickly been apprehended. Now I must tell C.S. Duale, even as he says we should not cross over, there are so many. Garissa itself is a cosmopolitan town. There are so many Kambas who live in Garissa, work in Garissa, they are born in Garissa, that is their home. I know I've met Kambas in Elwak, in Mandera. They are artisans, they work. They work and they are very good, they are gifted artisans. There are many of them in Wajir. And I've received telephone calls from the community leaders in Wajir, fearing for their lives now because of what Duale said, that we should never be allowed to get into those parts of the country. And yet, there's no action taken by the statutory commission dealing with national cohesion and integration. A home minister in the presence of the president himself issuing a fiat. And that is why Mheshimiwa Gamia, who was with us, and my colleagues Rigathi Gachagua, Eugene Wamalwa, Wine Mwingi, and all these leaders, and I remember Mheshimiwa Siad saying we should actually move to Garissa. And indeed we are moving to Garissa as soon as it's practicable. But we must, before we do so, talk directly to the Kamba community and the Somali community. And even then talk also to our brothers and sisters in Meru County, Isiolo County, because these also are neglected. We were in Isiolo when we were in Meru with the Alternative Government Brigade, and we felt the pain of people in Mutuati who have since lost over 80 lives, and animals have been driven away. Deputy President himself is reputed to have gone there, and nothing whatsoever seems to have happened to ameliorate the situation, which is dire. So we are now dealing with a government which has completely failed to do the most basic thing, protection of lives of its citizens and property. The people who hired what is this thing? The Probox drove all the way, and they are known. Quick investigation will apprehend those culprits who drove that Probox into Kwamari and killed these people in cold blood. And those who slaughtered the young man, as I said. So, in Meru, in Isiolo, in Mwingi, in Garissa, in Wajir, in Mandera, I want to ask and speak directly to all the communities in that part of our country, since we are dealing with a government that seems to be even enjoying the conflict. I speak directly to both communities, Kambas and Somalis in this case, and I know that when you talk about the situation in Meru and Isiolo, we have also the Samburus and the Merus. Your pain, your fear, your anger, which is also reflected in the explosion in the social media space. I understand all of it. But retaliatory attacks must stop immediately. Every act of revenge adds another name to the list of the dead. A list that has no one who has ever come back from. We have lost lives. That's a reality. The criminals who executed the Kwakamari massacre do not represent any community. They are simply criminals on a revenge mission. Therefore, we must not honor them by making their violence the beginning of war. Could be civil conflict. To my brothers and sisters in the pastoralist community, you are not criminals. Cooperate with security forces. Help identify the perpetrators who hide behind your great community. That is how you protect your people, your cattle, your camels, your children's future on this land. I welcome the news that governors of Kitui and Garissa, Dr. Julius Malombe and Mheshimiwa Nadhif Adam, both of them, by the way, they are Azimio governors, and they should be in the forefront in making sure there is peace and understanding in Garissa, in Mwingi, everywhere. They are meeting today, and I also know my good friend, Ambassador Mheshimiwa Nur, a former member of East African Community. He's actually the chair of Wafungaji Wengine. He's trying to get here. And what I also recommend immediately is wazee wakutane haraka iwezekanavyo. And I am ready myself to run, I can drop everything else I'm doing, and we can meet them in Mwingi. Because some gentleman in Mwingi called Ahmed said, I've had this shop for 20 years and I cannot get out of my shop because of the fury and the anger which was witnessed yesterday in Mwingi. So those two governors and member of parliament for Mwingi Central, na wazee wa area hiyo, I have met some of them, so that again we do not lose, because there is no way this government will apprehend these people the way we know them. They will not. So wazee wenyewe watakutana, wapange vile watahurumiana, watasaidiana na familia ambazo zimeadhirika. But you also read a political motive into this, because this has never happened. By the way, I must tell you, these two communities, Kambas with their bows and arrows, are deadly fighters. The Somalis with AK-47 are also tough. And if they start a conflict there, we see an intention of this administration escalating it and get an excuse even to delay the next elections, because that conflict can spread very fast. This is why we are saying, don't fall into that trap by Duale. Anasema hatuwezi kwenda Garissa, tupigwe mawe, am tupigwe risasi, tutaenda. So you can now see so soon after those remarks, this is what is happening. It is not difficult to imagine a man or a woman is, an assailant is told, go and kill that young man in Ukasi. Ndio wakamba wakazirike, wafunge barabara. Because your barabara is very important, by the way. So, and then start this conflict. We must call off this bluff. Our people, both the Kambas and the Somali community and the Samburus and the Merus, let's call off this bluff. Because we should never give Ruto any excuse to want to postpone these elections. Already ameona umaarufu kwa mfano wa alternative government all over the country, and people of Garissa are waiting for us, and then he cannot see what is going to happen. He has lost ground everywhere. They thought that Kina Sifuna, Kina Karoli Omondi, and Kina Babu Owino would never go to Kisumu. They were there, so he's lost Kisumu. He's lost Luo Nyanza. He's lost the coast. So the only solution we think is to create disharmony, create conflict, so that perchance he can postpone these elections happening in 14 months time. So we must be very vigilant. Kwa hivyo na wasi watu wetu musilipishe kisasi. Wachaneni na magari yapite, hakuna haja watu wa mwingi, ngune, ukasi. Wachaneni, you have made your point very strongly. Wachaneni na magari ya kusafirisha wananchi yaendelee, ili kuweka pamoja nchi yetu pamoja, because this is very important. And so I hope after today, even now as I speak, I'm quite sure if wale watu wanatusikiliza na wanajua nia yetu njema, and as I said before, these are some of the things we shall document against people like Duale, to take them to International Criminal Court. If there is mass evacuation of the people from Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, and you know that is a crime against humanity, mass displacement of people, Duale will be held responsible. And of course his boss, because these remarks were made in his presence. And there was no attempt at controverting what was said. Kwa hivyo nawashukuru sana. Wacha nimuulize Mheshimiwa Gamia na yeye kwa niaba ya our friends, our cousins, our neighbors in Garissa and elsewhere, because everybody, I hold the view, kila mtu amelemewa na William Ruto's administration ni cousin yangu, na wako wengi sana makuso. Thank you.
Good afternoon. First and foremost, I want to join my party leader in sending my heartfelt condolences to the people who were killed in Kitui County, 13 in number. We feel their pain. I want to send my condolence on behalf of Wiper Party and on behalf of the people of Northeastern. We feel their pain and we are very sorry about what has happened. Two, the people of Kitui, Tana River and Garissa have lived together for centuries. Actually, since the world was created, we have been sisters and brothers keepers. Nobody should put a barrier between us. Nobody should create a conflict for us to fight and kill one another. Personally, I want to appeal for peace. I want to appeal for calm. As the party leader said, let us stop retaliation attacks. Let us open the road. But one thing I want to make very clear is that no individual right can override the right of others. If you have camel and somebody has cultivated his farm, that is his camel. You cannot graze on somebody's cultivated land because you value your animals. We equally value farming. So we want the two communities to live together. We have invited our elders and other politicians so that within this weekend we can go to Mwingi, open the road, talk to our people, and more so, as Wiper Party, we want to form the next government. And I think this is a malicious attempt to scuttle that process and development of forming the next government. I have no doubt. And one message I want to send to the government is that, please, if you have denied us development, do not deny us our peace. That region has no development. You know, Ukambani region, Northeastern region has no development from government. They have denied us development and now they want to deny us peace. Let us not succumb to that mischievous plan of theirs. And I want to reiterate my statement, what I said in Mwingi, again, that Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka and the people, members of the United Opposition, you are welcome to Garissa, you are welcome to Tana River, you are welcome to Wajir, you are welcome to Mandera. We are part of Kenya. We are open for business. And those people who live in Garissa, Wajir, and Mandera, the Kambas and other Kenyans, must be given their right, they must be respected, they must live in peace. Therefore, tunasema ya kwamba Kenya is one indivisible nation. Nobody should try to divide us in political lines. Nobody should fear elections and use that fear to scatter or to make Kenyans fight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Then, Mheshimiwa Karoni.
We did discuss this matter in Parliament on Tuesday under a motion brought up by Honorable Makali Mulu. And part of the recommendation was that this particular situation be referred to the Security Committee, but with very specific observations. One was that the Communications Authority of Kenya avails part of the resources under what they call the Universal Access Fund to establish communication masts in that part of the world so that it is easier for the members of the public to communicate with security agencies when situations such as this arise. Secondly, members observed and agreed that the Security Committee should ask the Ministry of Interior to present to Parliament a clear strategy on dealing with this issue once and for all, because it is very, very unfortunate that Kenyans fight among themselves, pastoralists and farmers. And we want to see the elements, if there are any political instigations like His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka said, those who are responsible should be held accountable. When these two communities fight, it is the failure of the government to protect life and property. It is also the failure of government to hold those who are responsible accountable. We hope that the Security and the National Administration Committee will deal with the matter expeditiously and bring their recommendations to the floor of the House. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Daniel. Senator Moore.
So thank you very much. I will have three things to say. One, yesterday was a very unfortunate day in Mwingi town, and I'm grateful to God that calm seems to be returning to the town. This matter was also canvassed on the floor of the Senate, understanding Order 52-1, through a statement to the Standing Committee on Security, and a decision was taken that the committee then will make arrangements to visit the region, but also call all the security bosses and have a conversation around this issue. The second thing I want to say is to our people in Mwingi, to our people in Kitui. The Somali business community in Mwingi, those are not our enemies. Those are our brothers and sisters helping us to build our town, to build our economy. The Kambas in Garissa, in Wajir, in Mandera are not enemies of the Somali community. They are your brothers and sisters helping you to build your towns, your economies. The biggest challenge that we have in this situation, this must be said as it is the camel herders who have invaded private farms in Kitui. and unleash the animals on people's land and people's crops. The solution is as simple can get. Get these animals out of Kitui, and you have lasting peace and coexistence between the two communities. Lastly, when I leave this place, I'll also be having a meeting with the Senator for Garissa, Senator Abdul Aji, to also pursue this message of peace between the two communities, because we must not fall into the trap of creating the wrong impression that the Kambas and the Somalis are at war. We are not. The problem is those bandits hiding behind camels to kill people, to maim people. And once that is addressed, then we shall have peace on our land. I thank you.
Any questions? If there's anybody with any question, if there be none, we expect that there will be a very quick return to normalcy after today's statement. And please notice that Mr. William Ruto's administration, other than doing public relations, sending Deputy Inspector General to the site to say they are doing I don't know what, none of them has the goodness, the decency to address this situation. But we have taken this initiative, and I believe there will be absolute calm between the Somalis and the Kambas, and hopefully between the Samburus, the Merus, the Pokots, the Turkanas, mainly in Isiolo. Those are the communities. And we will have to establish peace committees all over. And I'm quite sure we shall succeed. But nothing should divide us, particularly the resolve of this country and our citizens to emancipate themselves from this uncaring regime. Asanteni. I think I'll send you that clip that was translated. It was Bwana Duale alikuwa anaongea Mandera kwa Kisomali, and people, patriots, who did not really think he should talk that language, translated it and sent it to Mheshimiwa Gamia. And I think we should make it available to you so that it can also be a deterrence. Somebody like Duale should publicly apologize if he's not even taken to court for incitement.